Hello and welcome tonight. For a second time this year, fire raises part of the popular Dosumu market in Lagos Island, destroying buildings and goods. State government suspends all commercial activities in the area till further notice. Legal fireworks looms in Kano as the State High Court fixes April the 17th for the arraignment of former Governor Abdullahi Ganduje and 6 others over allegations of bribery, diversion and misappropriation of funds. And it's panic and a mix of emotions as a planned demolition of structures on the right-of-way of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Expressway construction.
Now in business news tonight, federal government repays 4.83 trillion naira out of over 23 trillion naira CBN Ways and Means debt using bonds and treasury bills.
On sports news tonight, 9-time African champions, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, qualified for the Olympic Games for the first time in 16 years, edging South Africa on goal aggregate.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, NCDC says no definitive diagnosis has been made in the ongoing investigation into a strange illness in some communities in Sokoto State, but rules out an infectious origin.
And in international news from London, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel has set a date for its planned offensive in Gaza's city of Rafah.
We begin here in Lagos, where another fire disaster hit the popular Dosumu market on Lagos Island, coming barely 3 weeks after some parts of the same market were engulfed in an inferno. The early morning fire, which started from a 2-story building in Dosumu, Idumota Street, Jankara, soon spread to other nearby structures. To contain further spread of the raging fire, emergency officials who responded to the situation later resorted to pulling down one of the buildings. Our correspondent, Akeredolu, reports.
The smoke billows and can be seen from afar. According to the residents of the area, the fire started at about 10:40 a.m. The chaos of the early scene is captured by eyewitnesses as the traders are thrown into a state of confusion. With the complement of emergency management officials, firemen continue to mount pressure in an attempt to see off the fire.
When the fire incident occurred and it affected a generator that they are loading, that they are fueling, what they did was that they, instead of them to put out the fire, to limit the fire to that generator, they threw the fire out. In the process of throwing the fire out, it involved other properties.
The fire has already affected 14 buildings now, both severe and partial effect. 14 as at what I wanted, but the fire is under control now.
Although emergency management officials say the fire is under control, but right in my background you can see fire servicemen are working really hard to put out the fire completely. This is one of the many fire incidents seen in this particular neighborhood, and it is one of the most destructive so far.
It's a big fire with massive impact. Buildings in different streets are affected, but the Semo Street has taken the biggest hit and could barely stand.
Major challenge was water, and we were able to secure replenishment center from National Port Authority MP, not far away from here. And that's why the fire is totally under control. We know the number of shops, number of traders, and other statistics that are necessary. However, the most important thing is we have been bringing it to them. They need safety measures, insurance coverage, and fire marshals in strategic positions. Like the fire started there around 10, and that fire ought to have been managed by them, not going out of hand.
Ifeanyi Obe's store has gone down. Another building where his goods are stored is still standing, but badly affected. He watches as his men try to salvage some of the items stored in the building.
My boys called me that something is happening in Dosumu. So I asked them what is it. They said this fire is burning everywhere. Before I rushed down to this place, all my shop has finished. And even of my warehouse here also has finished. Nothing come out from there. I think the way they are building a house in this Lagos Island is, I believe, is too much, it's too congested. And there's no space. Once this thing is affecting one building, it must affect the other ones.
Estimates of the properties destroyed in this inferno has not been ascertained at the time of this report. However, it is clear that authorities need to do more to forestall a recurrence of similar disaster in Lagos Island. Dari Idowu, Channels Television News.
Indeed, fire incidents have become a regular occurrence in markets in Lagos Island, with 3 incidents already recorded there since the beginning of this year. Just yesterday, a building housing various hair wig vendors was gutted by fire in the Akpongbo area. In January, a warehouse in Mandela's building on Board Street was also gutted by fire, destroying goods worth millions of naira. Meanwhile, in response to the fire disaster, the Lagos State government has directed that commercial activities in Dosumu Street and its immediate environs in Lagos Island be suspended with immediate effect until further notice. In a statement by the Director, Public Affairs, Central Business District, Sheyi Akitoye, the Special Advisor to the Governor on CBD, Mrs. Bola Lawal, explains that the measure became necessary in order to prevent loss of life and maintain peace and order in the area. It is also to ensure that market women and men in the area make way for emergency responders to effectively perform their duties at the scene of the fire. The areas affected by the suspension of commercial activities include Dosumu, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Mashalashi, Woro Pedro, and Obanikoro streets. Others are Agotawa, Idumagbo Avenue, Idumagbo, Idoluwo, and Ojo Olobun streets. Right, for more on the fire incident at the popular Dosumu market in Lagos Island, I'm being joined on the news at 10 by Mr. Tiamiyo Additional, a former general manager of Lasema. Thanks for joining us on the news at 10, Mr. Additional.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so you saw that report a while ago looking at the disaster there in Dosumu. And of course, like we reported, this is the second time this is happening at the Dosumu market, the fire incident. But of course, we've had 3 fire incidents, all in general, coming from Lagos Island. Why do you think the problem of fire incidents has persisted over the years? Let's start with that.
Anyway, the first thing we should all know is that there's no way you can prevent accident of this nature from happening. It's in our way. One, there's failure of monitoring. There's also the human angle. If you go to the area where all of this happen, it's commonplace to see people hang generators on the building, like they hang ACs. There's no space. Who monitors compliance? And you know it is thickly populated. It's one of the biggest markets around in Lagos. With that kind of population, no space. Everybody have to have power. We don't have 24 power, electricity in this country yet. And the people have to power to supply, to illuminate their business offices. They have to resort to using generators. Apart from that, the Lagos State Fire Service have a duty to regulate safety procedures in premises.
You mean like going around those buildings and,
they can do that.
Businesses?
And I know they do it. But you see, people still circumvent rules. You cannot have an investment of this nature and you don't have fire preventing mechanisms. How many of them have smoke detectors to alert people that something is wrong. How many of them practice safe environment? How many of them knows how to disembark from a building when there are emergencies? Do we practice all of this? Safety is key in anything you do. When you failed in this area, situations like this will occur. And it's unfortunate. Millions, billions of naira are going down the drain every day. When are we going to learn about this? We must be very firm now. And I'm happy. The Lagos State government has given a directive. Stop all work first. Let us take an audit of what has happened today. And then, following that, take some strong decisions. Otherwise, we will continue to lose lives. We are lucky. We have not been, reported. No, there's no report of any death. For now, I saw a clip on social media. I didn't know if that's from today, with a building coming down. These are problems. And you now see crowd of people going into that same environment, disturbing the emergency workers from working.
Which brings me to the next question. You're talking about accessibility now. Whenever these sort of incidents occur, well, of course, there's always been a problem, for first responders, trying to go in there and do the job of getting to, salvage whatever they can. I mean, the fire, especially the fire service, especially, and talk about the emergency response team as well. But do you see this problem being solved anytime soon? The problem of accessibility, getting to those areas, before the fire just goes on and destroys everything.
It's for all of us to, learn. Number one, we must continue to do public advocacy, public enlightenment to our people. When emergency occurs, first thing is save your life. The emergency responders who are going to the field are trained first to attend to that danger, to identify danger. You and I mean, if you are not trained, you don't know. And then when you are going into a situation where you have an emergency, allow those who are trained to go in there. But you see a lot of people go in. It's been an almost every time situation. Everybody goes with their phone. The most I've seen on social media today were recordings from people's phones.
Well, of course, some will argue that with the social media, you're also trying to get the outside world to,
yes,
get to know about this.
You must also have it is only when you are live that you can post your recording. Give a distance. Allow those who are trained to do this thing go in and deal with the situation. In fact, accessibility is key, especially on the island. You know the situation. The roads are narrow. A lot of people are trading right on the streets. And you have crowd of people. I don't know why we can't even decongest the island. We can take some of this market elsewhere and allow for free flow of traffic, human and vehicular. But the challenge has always been there. Even to drive through in there. Okay, for this incident, you need heavy-duty equipment to go in. How do they go in through that small portion of road with, wares on the left and right to go in? So Lagos State Fire, and including the government, must continue to embark on this campaign for people to know when an emergency occurs. Give way to emergency responders so that they can go in there and do their job. The moment you allow them to get in there faster, it reduces the burden of escalation of this thing. But if you don't allow them, you come back to blame them. But they can't manufacture time, and they can't manufacture space when you have blocked the road. So accessibility is key in Lagos to all of these incidents.
Well, they'll definitely hope that we'll put an end to the situation. Of course, Mr. Tiami Additional, we thank you so much for your thoughts on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
In part two, after the break, aspirant for the APC ticket in the forthcoming Ondo State governorship election, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim takes his consultation to the riverine communities of Elijah and Akeredolu local government areas. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. For a second time this year, fire raises parts of the popular Dosumu market in Lagos Island, destroying buildings and goods. State government suspends all commercial activities in the area till further notice. Legal fireworks looms in Kano as the State High Court fixes April the 17th for the arraignment of former Governor Abdullahi Ganduje and 6 others over allegations of bribery, diversion and misappropriation of funds. It's panic and a mix of emotions over the planned demolition of structures on the right-of-way of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Expressway construction. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel has set a date for its planned offensive in Gaza city of Rafah. Politics, as the governorship primary election of the All Progressives Congress in Ondo State draws near, one of the 16 aspirants in the race, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, is continuing his consultation with members of the party across the 18 local government areas of the state. This time around, Senator Ibrahim and his Asheyori movement team members are visiting the riverine, Ilaje and Esodo local government areas of the state to canvass support.
Out of the 18 local government areas in Ondo State, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim and his team have met with registered APC members in 9. The visit is continuing at the Asheyori movement and is being hosted by 2 oil-producing local government areas of Ondo State. First, the team lands in Ilaje local government area, where a large turnout of supporters of the Asheyori movement converge on Igbokoda, the headquarters of the local government. As usual, Senator Ibrahim takes time to address the meeting, urging them to vote for him in the APC governorship primary.
It's only one polling booth per ward. Before then, we'll give you the address. Make sure your name is right there.
From Ilaje, the entourage proceeds to neighboring Esodo local government area, where members from the wards gather at Ibekebo, the headquarters of the local government. Senator Ibrahim expresses delight in the good turnout of the supporters in the 2 local government areas. He promises to partner investors to make the Ondo seaport a reality if he becomes governor of the state.
Ondo Port is the first on our dashboard of governance, and it's very important because that is what will drive the Renew Hope agenda of the federal government. When we have Ondo Port here, we know life will be more easier, employment will be generated, revenue will come on board, and then the export program of the federal government will be meaningful.
A prominent indigene of the area throws his weight behind the aspiration of Senator Ibrahim.
Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is a brilliant, sharp man, a man who knows what he's doing, a statistician who believes in figures and times and everything. So he's ahead, he's moving forward. We love him, and the 7 months he has in the Senate, we know how many bills are pushed in.
The consultation meeting of the Asheyori movement of Senator Jimoh Ibrahim with members of the APC continues in the 7 remaining local government areas of Ondo State.
More political stories. The Labour Party says the Nigeria Labour Congress Political Commission lacks the powers to sack the National Chairman Julius Abure-led National Working Committee. Now, the party is responding to the communique issued by the Political Commission of the NLC after a stakeholders meeting in Abuja on Monday, where it sacked the NWC, led by Mr. Abure, and called for the setting up of a transition committee to run the party. Reacting to this development via a statement, the National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Mr. Obi Oraifo, described the stakeholders' meeting as an illegal assembly of a handful of aggrieved former members of the party and some social media tigers who are not card-carrying members of the Labour Party. Away from politics, in commemoration of Eid al-Fitr, which marks the end of Ramadan, the President is felicitating with the Muslim Ummah in the country. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngalale, President Bola Tinubu greeted the Muslim faithful in Nigeria and all around the world, praying that their prayers and sacrifices this season and even after will receive fitting rewards from Almighty Allah. He also appealed to all citizens to come together and rededicate themselves to the noble duty of building the nation, stating, quote, "We are the sculptor and Nigeria is the clay. We build it the way we desire." End of quote. Now, the president also prayed that the lessons, blessings, and joys of this season abide with all Nigerians at all times. To legal matters, the Kano High Court has fixed April the 17th this year as the date for the arraignment of the immediate past governor of the state, Abdullahi Ganduje, alongside his wife and 6 others. The charges against them pertain to allegations of bribery, diversion, and misappropriation of funds, including alleged acceptance of $413,000 and 1.38 billion naira in bribes. The accused individuals, as listed in the writ of summons, include Mr. Ganduje, Hafsat Umar, Abubakar Bawuro, Umar Abdullahi Umar, Jibrila Mohammed, Lamash Properties Limited, Safari Textiles Limited, and Lesage General Enterprises. The Kano state government, which initiated the criminal suit against the 8 respondents, has declared its readiness to present 15 witnesses to testify before Justice Usman Naba of the Kano State High Court number 4. Now, the Kano State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Haruna Dederi, could not confirm whether the respondents have been served or not. Outside the shores of the country, the Women Lift Health Conference in Tanzania has finally come to an end. The final day featured workshops designed to equip women health practitioners for leadership and a charge on them to transform knowledge and experience gained into practical results. Our correspondent, Bukola Koka, reports from Tanzania.
So in this particular approach of the conflict dynamics profile,
what would the advocacy for more women in public health leadership be without the women soliciting the support of the men, especially in a challenging world?
Not a constant, can change at any time.
Therefore, this important subject matter formed the opening theme for the first panel on the last day of the conference. Covering other themes like navigating workplace politics and gender bias in the workplace, the potential women leaders in this nucleus are being equipped to recognize and manage the challenges along the pathways to attaining the leadership positions required to achieve the desired results in public health.
It is a society's shared beliefs, so it belongs to the society. So how many societies did you say are in? About 500, okay, so 500 different societies, it could be 500 different shared beliefs. When we talk about shared beliefs, we use the word norms. You see that there's the root of the word normative. It means that it's shared beliefs, norms, okay?
Largely, I would say gender is also about who we are, roles, identities, where we come from, and very deeply linked with this, the whole notion of power as well.
So in this particular approach of the conflict dynamics profile, this focuses on specific behavioral responses to conflict and how some of these behaviors might be changed. And it starts with the assumption that whether we like it or not, conflict is inevitable. It happens all the time, every day. We're dealing with conflict all the time.
Leadership is a lifetime journey. It's a privilege and should be intentional. And as Anita Zaidi emphasized, gender cannot be a side issue. We need to have collective action to change the narrative and reimagine leadership.
Just to add sort of this,
looks like it's a women role, but the talk that we had in the morning about men being allies and having them on board is helpful because it changed the conversation, or we don't just see men as like the enemies, understanding they also have a part to a role to play and also involving them.
Some Nigerian women commissioners and the special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on health share their gleanings from the conference.
We have so many policies for the health sector, and one of my mandate is implementing these policies. And I want to assure you that using all the experiences that I gained here, I will ensure that these policies are implemented, and to ensure that, because I know that implementing these policies will change the narrative.
It's very, very important to me. I can say this is one of the most significant activities that take place during my office, because I am increased in knowledge, we've increased in capacity, and we have made so many interactions that will contribute massively to the running of my ministry. So I enjoy it very well.
It's important because it also gives us opportunity to learn how to step up our skills in leadership in the country and how we can play a better role guiding policy ratios and also rationalization of policy.
The founder of the Women in Leadership Advancement Network, Willen, speaks on the prospects of Nigerian women commissioners participating in the conference.
For a lot of the female commissioners and even the special advisor to the president who have come to this conference, there were immense opportunities for networking. We had over 800 delegates attend this conference, so immense opportunities to learn and to share best practices, an opportunity as well to see what donors are interested in and where the trends are evolving to.
The Women Lift Health Global Conference closes today, having convened funders, implementers, healthcare givers, and public health practitioners in a vibrant ecosystem. But what's more important is the results that should be discernible in the human health indicators of the countries represented here, such that this three-day exercise would not have been just another talk show. From Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, Bukola Koka for Channels Television News.
So let's head to the nation's capital. Victoria Long John is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studio. Hello, Victoria.
Hello, Ayo. Good to see you. We continue with health matters here in the nation's capital, where the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says investigations are ongoing into a strange illness affecting communities in Isa local government area of Sokoto State. Now, during the media briefing in Abuja, the Director General of the agency, Dr. Olajide Idris, explained that the illness has resulted in 4 fatalities, with 164 suspected cases reported. According to the NCDC boss, while no definitive diagnosis has been made, clinical assessments and investigations have ruled out an infectious origin.
When they went there, they recorded those 4 deaths. Most of them were deaths from within the community, but the cases from the hospitals showed that perhaps again they had some renal complications of whatever might be causing it. You understand me? So before you come to any conclusion, you must make a diagnosis, or else you can't be treating blindly. So as at now, we don't have any cause of death. We are now expanding our level of investigation now to cover other things. Suspicion that this might be related to some activities within the communities, because like mining activities. You know, in mining they use all sorts of chemicals to extract these things. Some of this might be injurious to the health of people. And again, you know, the use of children in this kind of places. So we don't have a definite diagnosis, but others have been taken, and that's why now we're bringing other laboratories like NIPRID, NAFDAC. If the laboratory in Sokoto could not do much, because the delay actually from the laboratories in Sokoto, it took them a while to get back to us on the results of the testing for heavy metals. Is this one that just came out, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that showed that there were high levels of lead and chromium in the sample sent.
And still ahead on the news at 10, federal government repays 4.8 trillion naira out of over 23 trillion naira CBN weighs and means debt using bonds and treasury bills. That's some business news. To join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. We head over now to Oyo State, where Governor Seyi Makinde has condemned the assault on 2 officials of the State Road Transport Management Agency by the Nigeria Immigration Service personnel in Ibadan, the state capital. The incident happened after officials of the State Transport Agency apprehended an officer of the Immigration Service for alleged violation of traffic rules. Governor Makinde registered his displeasure when he visited the 2 officials at their residences before calling at the state command of the Nigeria Immigration Service in Ibadan.
That was the chaotic scene at the zonal office of the Nigeria Immigration Service in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, on Friday, April 5th, 2024, as men of the State Road Transport Management Agency attempted to arrest an immigration officer who allegedly violated the state traffic law. At the end of the face-off, Mr. Nuruddin Abiola and Mr. Taiwo Adeagbo, who were assaulted, were briefly hospitalized. Following the ugly incident, the governor for your state, Mr. Seyi Makinde, and some members of the cabinet paid a visit to the assaulted officers for being brave despite the odds and assured them that justice would be served.
These individuals are just trying to enforce the law of the state. Because you work for a federal agency does not mean you are superior. So I've asked the Honorable Attorney General, we will follow this through. We will write to the immigration authorities and we will prosecute the people involved.
Next up for the team is the immigration office at Agodi, where the governor held a closed-door meeting with the Comptroller of Immigration in the state, Mr. Abdul Rashid Ademola, to express his displeasure over the unwarranted assault on officers of the State Traffic Management Agency.
We have zero tolerance for people breaking traffic rules, but I've been assured that the Nigeria Immigration Service, Oyo State Command, and also the zone, they will cooperate with us.
Governor Makinde, who described the incident as unfortunate, noted, but Oyo State is known for inter- and intra-agency cooperation, and such synergy must be maintained as the state continues its zero tolerance for people breaking traffic rules.
And back in Abuja, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has been providing updates on the situation concerning the family affected by a stray bullet that tragically resulted in the death of 2-year-old Ivan in Delta State. The incident occurred on Thursday, July 13, 2023, during an operation where NDLEA operatives in pursuit of drug peddlers fired their weapons into the air in Okpanam, a suburb of Asaba, in the Shimili North local government area of the state. Now, according to the agency spokesperson, Mr. Femi Babafemi, who was reacting to the recent outcry about the family alleging neglect, said the agency is fully committed to the treatment of Ivan's younger brother, who was left with an injury following the incident.
We have always followed up. I've just told you now that we've sent 3 delegations, one of them led by the chairman himself, and everything they have asked for, we have offered, we have provided. So there has never been a point that we're not in touch with them or that we're not processing everything they've asked for. The issue of the visa thing, unfortunately, we can only provide everything we're asked to provide, but we're not the issuance authority. We don't have the authority to issue a visa on behalf of the American embassy. And as I speak with you, I'm also aware that even as at the last one that they were denied, they were given a fresh date of 2025. And I'm aware again that even the chairman is already speaking with embassy officials again to see how they can fast track that process, just like the previous 2 appointments. I mean, they were always given a distant date, but then through some interventions, the dates had always been brought forward, and we're very sure that in this case that would also happen. So we'd like to assure the family that indeed we sympathize with them, indeed they know that we have always been in touch with them, we have always supported them, and would definitely never abandon them in this case, because we know that indeed what happened was a sad incident, that nobody actually, it was unintended, nobody prepared for that, nobody envisaged that, but then even as it has happened, we cannot and will never abandon them. That's for sure.
And that's it from Abuja. It's now back to you, Ayo, for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Victoria. A month after approval by the Federal Executive Council, the federal government has begun the construction of the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar coastal superhighway. However, for businesses and owners of structures on the right-of-way of the proposed coastal highway who have been served with removal notice, it's a mix of emotions. Our correspondent, Kelly Egiga, reports.
It's the construction of an iconic and monumental civil engineering project, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Superhighway. When completed, the 700-kilometer-long coastal highway will enter the record books among iconic coastal routes like the Pacific Coastal Highway in the US and the Wide Atlantic Highway in Ireland. The first phase of 47.47 kilometer starts from Ahmadu Bello Way, Victoria Island in Lagos, and the coastal road will pass through the Lekki Deep Seaport, Ogun, Ondo, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, before culminating in Cross River. But that's not all. The superhighway, which is being built by high-tech construction company, has 5 lanes on each side of the dual carriageway and a train track in the middle. And to avoid delays, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has been up and about ensuring compliance with contractors. Mr. Umahi says the coastal road will, among other things, further integrate the north and south in terms of movement of people, goods, and services.
We are very confident that this project, 700 kilometers, and the phases 2, it will be executed successfully under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
But while the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road will usher in a new era of ambitious infrastructural development projects in the country, vendors at the popular landmark beach resort site, built to be pulled down, are struggling to come to terms with the 7-day demolition notice.
We're given 7 days to leave. 7 days to do what? What do you begin to pick up for 7 days, and to where? So if it comes to, to that, where we have to leave, I can't do anything. I'd pack up my suitcases, give up the flat, give up the business, and go back to the UK, which would be a shame because we're the ones who constantly sing the praises of this country, this place.
We have really sprung to action.
Kemi Oshinibi is the CEO of Landmark Kids Club. She tells me it's been terrifying the past 1 week.
I have about almost 27 staff here. With our total ecosystem that we support, it's almost 100 people. And right now, everyone is feeling very uncertain. Everyone is feeling very scared. And it's really unfathomable right now. It's really, really, really upsetting. Very, very, very upsetting.
But there is some sort of optimism from the CEO and founder of the Landmark Africa Group.
Obviously, there's several conversations that are taking place. I've had at all levels of governments, both state and federal. I've had incredibly positive feedback. And some of the noises coming out of the government in terms of supporting businesses, supporting FDI, increasing tourism. There's both a commissioner for tourism and a minister for tourism for the first time in Nigeria at the same time. Tells you that there must be someone that's saying that we're serious about tourism here. I can't see how a collection of decisions will lead to the demolition of effectively the most impactful and largest tourist platform in West Africa.
I'm standing a few meters away from the beach and the currents have been really strong, so I cannot go any further. But take a look at the children, the family and friends, and perhaps colleagues who have come here to unwind and get away from the business and hustle Lagos is known for. All of this could be torn apart any moment from now if the government goes ahead with the planned demolition. But for the over 3,000 staff who work here and earn a living from this, their future hangs in the balance with the proposed planned demolition to make way for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. From the landmark beach area here in Lagos, Nigeria, Kelly Egiga, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has again challenged the president to disclose the full cost of the Lagos-Calabar Highway project. In a statement, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election wonders why the government released a sum of 1.06 trillion naira for the pilot phase, or 6% of the project, which begins at Eko Atlantic and expected to terminate at the Lekki Deep Sea Port. He maintains that the federal government must come clean on this project by responding to questions such as, why is the project being funded by the Nigerian government despite being a public-private partnership? Why is 1.06 trillion naira being spent on the pilot phase, which is just 47 kilometers? And how did the Tinubu administration get the design as well as the right-of-way in just 7 months, since it claims the past administrations of Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari never touched the project? In a reaction, the president's special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, challenged Mr. Abubakar to get his facts right about the project. According to him, at no time did the administrations of former Presidents Muhammadu Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan award contracts for the construction of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway to any company at any varied and revised amount. He notes that the question of cost comparison does not arise, adding that the contract that was awarded was that of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Rail designed as part of the standard gauge national rail network. It's time now for some business news with Will Ibo. Will.
Thank you, Ayotunde, and welcome to Business News. The federal government has allocated about 4.83 trillion naira from the Nigerian Treasury bills and bonds issued in 2024 to settle the Central Bank of Nigeria's Ways and Means advances, and that's according to the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun. The Minister of Finance made this known during a presentation at the Lagos Business School Breakfast Club. And while the total Ways and Means owed to the CBN is over 23 trillion naira, the National Assembly had last year approved the securitization of an outstanding 7.3 trillion naira of the Ways and Means advances. In February, the CBN governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, said that the Apex Bank will no longer grant Ways and Means loans to the federal government unless all outstanding balance is settled. Now, reports of traders along the Nigeria-Niger border rejecting the naira due to its depreciation in value. The need for aggressive measures to boost its value has become more necessary. For the lead consultant and CEO Treaty Impacts Trade Academy, Mr. Bamidele Ayemibo, this is the time to increase non-oil production and exports, both to African countries and beyond. He was a guest on our Business Morning program earlier today.
Nigeria is looking at a place people want to invest because of Treasury bill and a number of other government instruments. So now investment is coming in, so FX is flowing in, rate is coming down. But it's not sustainable. We now must generate Forex ourselves because those money that are coming are going to go out at some point. So what is happening at the border is to let us know that, look, even our neighbor are rejoining our currency because our value is going down. So we must grow non-oil export. I think that's what we should be having conversation around now. To a large extent, CBN is doing a lot. There seems to be a synergy between the fiscal policy and the monetary policy to stabilize the economy. But now, can we begin to now take non-oil export growth very much seriously? Because I'm not seeing a lot of that in the effort being made by the government, both on the fiscal side and monetary side. What CBN is trying to do is, in almost all the intervention that the last administration went into, CBN said, look, that's not our job. And the reason why CBN went into before, because the fiscal side, we're not doing enough. But I think it would have been good for CBN to work with them at that time to be able to get them to do what they need to do. So, for example, you feel there's a need for intervention in a particular sector, why don't you support the ministry in question to be able to achieve that? That's exactly what I think we should be looking at. But now we're not seeing that in terms of, like you said, non-oil exports. So, for example, I'm expecting by now we should be hearing the president talk a lot about non-oil export, the Minister of Trade, Minister of Finance, saying a lot about non-oil export trade. We're not hearing this, statement that shows that this is what the government wants to do. Let me give an example. So we have ambassadors around the world. Our ambassadors should have a target. like ambassador in Nigeria have. We've had a situation where we do some program with National Banking and Finance, Administration Experience Studies, and we on trade, and we see embassies sending their staff, Nigerians, to come and train to be able to develop Nigerian market for those countries abroad.
Meanwhile, latest World Bank report has revealed alarming trade disparities in Nigeria and Ethiopia, where costs exceed those in the United States by 4 to 5 times. The report highlights factors such as insecurity, poor road infrastructure, high transportation expenses, and geographical barriers as primary drivers of elevated trade costs. These obstacles, coupled with detrimental effects of state intervention in African markets, regulatory barriers, as well as labor market frictions, impede competition, investment, and hinder economic growth. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Ayotune for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. A group of older Swiss women have won the first ever climate case victory in the European Court of Human Rights. The women, mostly in their 70s, said that their age and gender made them particularly vulnerable to the effects of heat waves linked to climate change. Here's Simon Puzi with other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel has set a date for its planned offensive in Gaza's city Rafah. His government has been signalling its intentions to launch a military operation in the southern city, where more than 1.5 million Palestinians are sheltering, for several weeks. Mr. Netanyahu said the planned offensive was necessary for the elimination of terrorist battalions there. World leaders have urged Israel not to go ahead with the plan for weeks. In a joint intervention on Tuesday, the leaders of Egypt, France and Jordan warned Israel the offensive would have dangerous consequences and threaten regional escalation. Mr. Netanyahu's comments come as talks between Hamas and Israel over a hostage prisoner swap and ceasefire deal continue in Egypt. The trial of 27 people charged in connection with the Panama Papers money laundering scandal has started in a Panamanian criminal court. The leak of secret financial documents in 2016 revealed how some of the world's wealthiest people stashed their assets in offshore companies. The defendants include Jürgen Mossack and Feynman Fonseca Mora, who founded the now defunct law firm Mossack Fonseca. They face money laundering charges, but say neither they, the firm, nor its employees were involved in unlawful acts. In 2017, the firm said it was the victim of a computer hack and that the information leaked was being misrepresented. Donald Trump has said decisions about abortion rights should be left to the states, releasing a statement on the contentious election issue.
The states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state.
Many in his Republican Party had wanted him to back a nationwide ban on abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. But Mr. Trump said policies should be set by individual states, as they have been since the Supreme Court overturned the Roe v. Wade decision in 2022. Since then, abortion has emerged as a galvanizing issue for many voters. The former president's comments have drawn criticism from both liberals and conservatives. A mortar attack in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo has killed 3 soldiers from a southern African military force. All of those who died were from Tanzania. 3 others were hurt. The Southern African Development Community said missile fire fell near the camp where they were staying. A source said the attack took place at a base for Tanzanian soldiers in Sake. SADC has not confirmed these details or said who was responsible for the attack on its soldiers. A group of older Swiss women have won a partial victory in their climate case in the European Court of Human Rights. The women, mostly in their 70s, said that their age and gender made them particularly vulnerable to the effects of heat waves linked to climate change. The court said Switzerland's efforts to meet its emission reduction targets had been woefully inadequate. It is the first time the powerful court has ruled on global warming. The ruling is binding and can trickle down to influence the law in 46 countries in Europe, including the UK.
Today's rulings make very clear that the European states have a legal responsibility to take real climate action and to protect people and to protect its citizens. It cannot be a political choice whether to respect human rights or not. And this is only the beginning of climate litigation. All over the world, more and more people are taking their government to court, holding them responsible for their actions. And this, the results of this can mean in no way that we lean back. This means that we have to fight even more. The moment to stop panicking was a long time ago, because we are in a state of planetary emergency.
And a stunning solar eclipse has wowed millions of people across the world as it carved a path across the North American continent. The total eclipse became Mexico as crowds on the beach went wild. Across 13 US states and into Canada. Tourists had crowded along both sides of the border at Niagara Falls, where the eclipse path crossed from the US into Canada.
Folks, enjoy the eclipse, but play it safe. Don't be silly.
The American president had some safety advice for those watching the spectacle. Video shows that it obscures the sun, turning day to night and revealing. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. 9-time African champions, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, have ended a 16-year absence from the Olympic Games as Nigeria's senior women team this evening forced reigning African champions, the Bafana Bafana of South Africa, to a goalless draw in the return leg of their Olympic qualifier. The result in Pretoria means the Falcons eliminated South Africa 1-0 on aggregate, having won the first leg by a lone goal in Abuja. Rasheedat Ajibade of Atletico Madrid Femini scored that goal from the penalty spot. It is Nigeria's first qualification since 2008 at the Beijing Games. Arsenal rescued a 2-2 draw against Bayern Munich as Leandro Trossard's late leveller stopped Harry Kane, making a triumphant return to North London in tonight's Champions League quarter-final first leg. Trossard came off the bench to equalise in the closing stages at the Emirates Stadium after former Tottenham striker Kane put Bayern 2-1 ahead with a first-half penalty. Real Madrid and Champions League holders Manchester City shared a pulsating 3-3 draw in a roller coaster quarter-final first leg at Estadio Santiago Bernabeu. That's it on sports. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Chris. And the main news again. An inferno today razed part of the popular Dusmu market in Lagos Island, destroying buildings and goods. It is the second time such will occur there this year. Meanwhile, the Lagos state government has suspended all commercial activities in the area till further notice. And legal fireworks are set to commence in Kano as the State High Court has fixed April the 17th for the arraignment of former Governor Abdullahi Ganduje and 6 others over allegations of bribery, diversion and misappropriation of funds. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night.